Welcome in, everybody. My name is Joseph Igo, and today this is my NASCAR Cup Series 2025 season preview. And today I have 10 predictions for the Cup season. Some of these will be a little more bolder than others. Some of these, might not be so bold. But yeah, here are my top 10 predictions for the NASCAR Cup Series this season. Starting off with number one, I think Kyle Larson will win the Coca-Cola 600 and finish top five in the Indianapolis 500. That, at least on the Indianapolis 500 part, that's a little bold, but I mean, he was running in the top five or six. I think he was running sixth when he got his speeding penalty in the Indy 500 last year. So he's definitely got the speed to contend. It's just you gotta, avoid making that mistake. So, and then obviously we know how good he is at Charlotte. So as long as things, don't get in the way like they did this past year, I think I think he's going to run really well in both races. So, we'll see. I'm not sure he'll win the Indianapolis 500, but I definitely think he's going to, if he gets the chance to race both races, he will win the Coca-Cola 600. Next, I think Shane Van Gisbergen is going to win multiple Cup Series races this year. I mean, just look at how good he's been on road courses, whether that be in last year in Xfinity full-time or in his several Cup Series starts on road courses. And I think he's going to be better on ovals as well. I mean, he ran pretty well at the Clash in Bowman Gray Stadium, but I think he's going to win multiple Cup races on the on road courses. I think maybe like a Chicago, obviously Mexico City, which we'll get into in a minute. Maybe a Sonoma or a Coda, something like that. I definitely think Shane's going to win multiple Cup races this year, and who knows how far that'll take him in the playoffs, but we'll see. Next, I think the NASCAR race in Mexico City in, I believe, June. It's on Father's Day weekend, so yeah. I think it's going to be a massive, overwhelming success. I think this will start a trend of NASCAR going international. I think because this is going to be a successful endeavor, I think they'll probably do the Mexico City race at least a few more years after this. But I definitely think this will set the groundwork for maybe doing the Clash in Brazil, or maybe, taking the Clash even, to Europe or the Middle East even. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an overwhelming success. I think it's going to be great. So next, I think the short track package will improve, and I think obviously they announced they're going to bring the option tire to Phoenix, which we'll see about that. I definitely don't want that in the championship, but if it means we get to, get a more accurate reading on how specific tire compounds play out, and we can, settle on one specific tire compound, I think we're getting very close to short track racing being back to where it was towards the end of the Gen 6 car. But yeah, I just don't see us having another year of just awful short track racing. And that's not to say last year was bad, because obviously we saw what happened at Bristol in the spring, but then you turn around and you see what happened at Bristol in the fall, and you're like, not fixed yet. But I think you look at some races like Martinsville in the fall. I think you look at the title race in Phoenix. I think that was actually a pretty good race, all things considered. So, yeah, I think the short track racing is going to improve. I think it just has to. Next, I think Bubba Wallace will win a Cup race in the regular season and make the playoffs. I think both of Bubba's previous wins came in the playoffs, that being at Talladega and Kansas. But I just think, he runs so good week in, week out throughout the season that I just find he's not going to find a way to screw it up this many times again. I think he's going to run so well. I mean, just look at how he's ran. I mean, it's pretty improbable that he hadn't won a race in the past year, just given the speed he's shown. But obviously now with a new crew chief coming over from Christian Eckes's truck team, which was really good last year, should help him. And I think, with all due respect to Booty Barker, I think Booty Barker did Bubba a lot of well. I think he, just look at what, like, Bubba used to be more of a super speedway specialist, always has been really good on those types of tracks. but he hasn't always been as good on, your intermediates, your short tracks, even some road courses. But now he's shown he can do well anywhere and run well anywhere. So I think a lot of that has to be accredited to Booty Barker. And obviously, he won't be atop the pit box this season, but I think this is the logical next step for the 23 team for sure. Next, I think Todd Gilliland gets his first Cup Series win in the 34 car. I just think, just look at how he ran last year, towards the end of last year, as far as average finish is concerned. I don't know what the exact stat finished as, but he was like quietly running really well. And I think, now getting into the top car at Front Row Motorsports, I think obviously just look at the success they had at super speedways. I think I'm predicting actually Todd Gilliland to win the pole at the Daytona 500. I think that's not a crazy take at all. I mean, just look at how the Front Row ran at the last Daytona race as far as qualifying is concerned. So, I think Todd's definitely going to have some really strong runs this year, and I think he's definitely in the mix to win his first Cup race this year. Somebody who will not win their first Cup race this year, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Ty Gibbs goes winless again. Yes, and, does that put him on the hot seat at the end of this year? I don't know. Obviously, Ty Gibbs running for Joe Gibbs Racing is, how hot is that seat going to get? Who knows? But I just look at the end of last season. It was a massive, massive struggle for them. And I mean, yeah, the start of the season was great, but where did that speed go? And where did the speed as a whole for JGR go? I mean, that's the real question. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I have faith. I don't think Ty's a bad driver by any means. I think that team, and that team as in the 54 car, the 54 team, as well as JGR as a whole, they got some things to figure out. But I'm confident they will. I just don't think it will be Ty Gibbs' year to win a Cup race, personally. Next, I think Alex Bowman will reach the round of 8 of the Cup Series playoffs and win at least one race this season. I just think, look at Bowman, especially on road courses. Bowman's been really good on road courses. And then as far as the rest of the schedule goes, he's one of the most consistent drivers. Maybe not necessarily contending for wins every week, but as far as, like lining up top 10s and knocking them down, there's not many people who run better on a consistent basis than Alex Bowman in terms of, getting top 10s, top 5s. He may not be putting down the win stats as some of these guys. There's kind of like the argument, would you rather be Joey Logano and win 5 Cup races last year? I'm also including the All-Star race, but, Joey Logano, 5 Cup wins, but I think it was don't quote me on it, but was it 7 top 5s and 5 of them were wins? So it's all right. But, or you could be like Alex Bowman and you have a ton of top 10s, but only 1 win last year. I think he's going to at least win one race this year, and I think he's going to reach the round of 8. Might be a bold call, but that's how I feel. Next, I think Kyle Busch's winless streak ends at the Daytona 500, and he secures his first Daytona 500 championship. So yeah, just look at how that race ended at Daytona in the summer. How often is a push from Christopher Bell to the back of Kyle Busch going to lose to the outside row of Harrison Burton being pushed by Parker Retzlaff? Really? I just 99 times out of 100, I think Busch wins that personally. Just look at how good he's been on super speedways. He's been one of the best super speedway drivers in the series the past few years. And I think, time's ticking on Busch's chances of getting a Daytona 500. And I think this is I think he's going to do it this year. And then for my final Cup prediction, it's kind of a big one here, like a lot of things encapsulated into one. I think Christopher Bell wins at least 5 Cup Series races this year, wins the Cup Series title, and the championship 4 to join him in Phoenix will be Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Denny Hamlin. I think the tracks and how the playoffs play out just stack up really well for Blaney. Larson, obviously really good, and I just don't think he'll struggle in the playoffs like he did last year. And then Denny Hamlin, I honestly think this will be the last hoorah for Denny Hamlin. I mean, we have no clarity on beyond 2025 for Denny Hamlin, and I think this is his last hoorah at winning the championship. And maybe he does go win the championship, but at least on my end, I think this is the year Christopher Bell gets it done. He's been knocking on the door for the last 3 years, and I think this is the year he finally gets over the hump and secures his first Cup title. So with that, that is my top 10 Cup Series predictions for 2025. Thank you all so much for watching, and y'all have a good one. Thank you.